What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a test and combo video for the Blue Eyes budget Primite profile I showed you all the other day. So you all smashed that like button way above 50 likes, so I thought I'd bring you a very in-depth detailed test hand video to show you exactly what this deck wants to try and do, going first, second, and as mentioned, some of its siding patterns. So after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, we're just going to dive headfirst into our starting open hand of 5, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I mean, you can't say we don't have a hand of starters. This is like the perfect hand. Well, within reason. And what I mean by that is, we're going to start off with our Primite Ether Beryl. Now, 99.999% of the time, if your opponent has an interaction, they're going to use it here. They don't want you getting access to Drill Beam. They don't want you getting access to Lordy Load. It's going to happen. But just because I want to show you its max potential with what this deck can do right now, will be a little bit more negative on the next test hand. This is something that's going to just show you the max potential. Now, this one lets you set a Primite card. So this is the best one to start with because you can set your Primite Lordy Load. And then you can activate your Primite Lordy Load to add you a Primite card from the deck to the hand. And the card you're going to want to grab yourself is going to be your Primite Drill Beam. Then what we're going to be able to do here is we're going to link off our Primite Ether Beryl and we're going to go into our Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Resolving Spirit with Eyes of Blue's effect is going to grab you the Mausoleum. And again, if there is an interaction that your opponent has, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to use it here. So we activate the Mausoleum, we're going to use Mausoleum's effect, we're going to send Blue Eyes White Dragon from deck to grave, and then we're going to be able to use Spirit's effect to tribute itself off. Whoop. Let's save that. I got ahead of myself. Easy there. Always make sure you use Maiden first. If you don't have Maiden, make sure your additional normal summon is Sage of Eyes of Blue. So we're going to use Maiden's effect first. Got to maximize that advantage. This will then let you place True Light. Now, I try to avoid using True Light where at all possible in case Ghost Ogre is floating around, but that is entirely up to you as well. So we use Maiden, then we use Spirit of Eyes of Blue to tribute it off to revive the Blue Eyes. Now that we are out of the Dragon Lock, we're going to be able to revive the Maiden's effect from the graveyard as well. Then you can synchro these two together. You can go into your Spirit with Eyes, your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, and you could technically just set the Drill Beam, activate Lordy Load, summon from the deck, and leave it there. The reason you would do that is you are playing it so safe that if your opponent goes, okay, cool, Nibiru, you go, okay, fine, I've still got my additional normal summon, I've still got True Light to revive, I can pretty much just rebuild this field. So this is if you want to be very, very conservative. Honestly, we're going to get a bit greedy, but I'm just going to show you how you can push this even further. So your additional normal summon will be your Sage of Eye Blue. This will then allow you to add a level 1 Light Tuner. Considering we already have a Vet Veiler, why not have another one? Because it's not hard once per turn. You now have the option to activate True Light if you wanted to bring back Blue Eyes. Honestly, I'm actually just going to use True Light to set the wishes, because this will give us follow-up for the next turn. Wishes can then be activated and discard your Master. This will then allow you to grab another level 1, so I'm going to go with Sage of Eyes of Blue, and this will also allow us to grab Majesty. You could go for Roar of the Blue Eyes White Dragon, but we're not going to need that. I'm going to grab the Majesty. Wishes goes into the graveyard. Now what you're going to want to do is you want to activate your Primite Lordy Load. This will then allow you to get the second Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck, and the reason that this is quite important to get both Blue Eyes in rotation is you now increase the power of your Majesty. We're now going to be able to synchro these two together, and we're going to go into our Blue Eyes Spirit, our second Blue Eyes Spirit. Now remember, you can't use any monster effects now because of the Primite Lordy Load restriction, but you've pretty much got everything you need. So we're going to set our Majesty, we're going to pass our opponent's turn. Now this is the big risk part of this, is it's very, very important that you activate True Light now to bring back your Blue Eyes White Dragon, and in doing so you bring back your Maiden. And the reason for that is you now have your Drill Beam is now live because you've got the normal monster on the field. But it means you've used your True Light, but you still have the Drill Beam is now active. So as we play for our opponent's turn, what you've got is you've got Drill Beam, which could then negate and banish. Keeping in mind that we're going to be able to get back our both of these cards during our standby phase, or this one during our standby phase, this one during our main phase. So you've got that. You've then got the ability to activate your Majesty, revealing the Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field and the one in the graveyard to destroy 2. So that's 2 forms of interruption, destroying 3 cards, or disrupting 3 cards. You've then got 2 effect Veilers if you need to use both of those. You've got the graveyard negation of your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. You've then got the ability to tag out your first Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon and go into your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which will then give you an Omni negate or target negate. I do like the idea of going back to the good old classic of going into Azure Eyes just so I can protect it, but it's not that important. Then, if we really need to, you can tribute off your second Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. So this will then get us into a Lightstorm Dragon. The Lightstorm Dragon will then deal with spells and traps that maybe your opponent's tried to set during the end phase. And then during the end phase, you'll need to resolve both the spirits destroying both of these cards. But that's absolutely fine, because then what we can do is we can float back into a light dragon monster from the grave, except Blue Eyes White Dragon. And then we can, except Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. And then we can also float back into a... we get to target a spell trap in our graveyard and set it, but it can't be activated unless we control a normal monster. So we've already used Majesty, so our Lightstorm Dragon will reset the Majesty for us. And our Blue Eyes Ultimate will then revive the second Blue Eyes for us as well. So what happens is we draw for turn. During the standby phase, we get to add back the Aether Barrel. We then normal summon down our Aether Barrel to let us add to set a second Primite Lordy Load. There we go, so we're just going to set that. Then we can use the Drill Beam in the graveyard to add that back to the hand, making sure we've got one spare zone to use it if we need to. There we go. And then from this point on, it's entirely up to you. And what I mean by that is, if you want to keep a zones free, you can activate your Majesty, clear off 2 more cards. And the reason that we need to have 2 zones free is that now what we can do is we can use our Wishes to banish it, which is the reason I didn't use it during the first turn. Equip Neo's Ultimate, tribute these off, go into Tyrant. So then what you need to do, as we've already gone through all our Spirit Dragons, is you're going to switch your Blue Eyes White Dragon to attack mode. And then you go Battle Phase, you can go Tyrant to attack everything. Keep in mind, if you wanted to, you can use your additional normal summon of your Sage Advisor Blue. You can also use True Light to get your Blue Eyes as well. And you could use the Lordy Load to summon one back in Defense Edition. It's entirely up to you. But the idea is you're now going to control your opponent. And what I mean by that is, your Time Dragon is going to clear everything off. You attack with Blue Eyes, you attack with your Aether Barrel. And then what you can do here is you can link these both off. These would then go into the Hieratic Seals, which gives you another disruption. Remember as well that your Tyrant Dragon would have recycled your Majesty, so you've got that to go again. You can then set the Drill Beam, and then you pass. Now, I could, if I wanted to, use Sage Advisor Blue to try and trigger off the Maiden, but we're not going to. I could also use True Light to bring back a Blue Eyes, which is, again, absolutely fine. Because the idea is that means during the draw phase, we've got the Drill Beam is active. We've also got Majesty to destroy 2 cards as well. So we've just got loads of disruptions looping ourselves back around. And we get that Aether Barrel back again during the standby phase. So once this deck's loops start to, present themselves, you're in a very, very good position. So that was it for test stand number 1. And now what I'm going to do is, just to keep the test stands going first and going second separate, is I'm going to show you what you would side in and side out. So we're going first. Now the first 3 cards that are going to be going into my deck are going to be these 3 right here. Now Secret Village will be dependent on the matchup that you are facing, but keeping in mind the matchup should be more or less effective against Secret Village. So we're going to get out our 3 chummies. We're going first. We don't need these. They go straight out. These go straight in. Okay, so in, out, we shake it all about. Then your other cards that you can consider. You're not going to go for Harpy's Feather Duster. You could consider these 3 cards right here. You could consider Cosmic Cyclone. You could also consider Droll and Nibiru. You're definitely not going to consider your more chummy Fool Losses, so they go out of the way. So we'll move all those out of the way. So now what I would do here is these 3 are guaranteed in. These 3 are guaranteed out. I then need to kind of decipher, do I feel that my opponent's going to be playing a lot of hand interactions? If so, Trill Tactics Thrust might be a good option to put in. What cards do I feel are less effective in this particular matchup? Well, Infinite Impermanence is great, but if my opponent knows that True Light is one of my weaknesses, they're probably going to want to destroy my spells and traps as much as possible. So I need cards that I can respond to if they activate cards like Harpy's Feather Duster, or cards that can help protect me from the hand that my opponent really can't always guarantee access to. So where I feel that I would be setting an Infinite Impermanence, I could feel quite happy getting rid of those. I also don't feel that Forbidden Droplet is that required, because my plan is to stop my opponent building their field rather than trying to negate it and break it. So I feel that I could sacrifice these 4 slots here to open up some more slots in the main deck. Then you'll look through the rest of your main deck of what else you could feel comfortable sacrificing. If I feel that my opponent is playing a lot of cards that are stuff like Dominus Purges, Dominus Impulses, Nibiru's that can't be hit with Call by the Grave. You could arguably side that out as well if you wanted to. And in doing so, I would then consider putting these 5 cards into the main deck. That gives me a bit more of a bridge. If I want to keep Call by the Grave in, honestly, I would just take out 1 Trill Tactics Thrust and then kind of work it that way as well. So we'll put all those together. These cards are coming out alongside the Perulias, and these cards are still in our side deck. Now again, side decking really comes down to the environment and the type of plays you want to make. Heck, you could very easily throw a spanner in the works and make your opponent go first. I have seen it happen. I've seen it happen. Sorry, make your opponent go first. Seen it happen. Very, very interesting. Very, very funny. I've done it quite a few times as well and really catches your opponent off guard. But you can't do it all the time because if you become known for it, players start to catch onto it and they won't necessarily keep going first cards in just on the risk. But they'll start to not consider cards that are solid for going first or second. They'll try and get a bit of a balance. Cards like the Forbidden Droplets, Droll and Lockbirds, and Nibiru's that could be utilised going first or second. So after another decent shuffle and a good old cut, our starting hand of 5 this time will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got a lot of interaction again, and then we have an ideal starter. This is always going to be the risk and reward with Blue Eyes White Dragon, especially when you're playing a lot of non-engine, is that you could open up a whole hand of non-engine. And if this was a non-engine card, we'd pretty much have to go pass and hope that these 3 carry us through. Luckily we didn't, so you'd go normal summon down the Primite Ether Barrel. In an ideal scenario, this resolves, but in a scenario like this, our opponent could be siding in a lot of breakers, okay? If this doesn't resolve, you can't go as far as you would like. You're pretty much going to end on a Hieratic Seals, which is as good as it's going to be, but you're going to back yourself up with a Nibiru and a Ghost Spell. If it does resolve, you add a Drill Beam into the mix here. As I said, I'll be more negative going for this test hand now. So let's say our Ether Barrel gets hit with an interaction. You then turn your Ether Barrel into your Spirit Advisor Blue. Now, again, in an ideal scenario, if your opponent interacts with this one, this could be quite damaging because you don't have the ability of getting a Blue Eyes White Dragon directly from the deck to the grave. And that could be quite awkward because that means your Nibiru might not be effective because you can't special summon except dragons. So you've got to be very, very careful on this one and how you want to do it. So if this card is link summoned, you get to take Mausoleum from the deck and either add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard. Tribute its special summon a Blue Eyes from the hand or grave. So I suppose actually we could get out of it just by getting the Blue Eyes from the hand. Might not be the worst case. Okay, so let's say our opponent interacts with this one here, right? Completely locks us down. They've used 2 interactions, okay? Remember, they've used 2 interactions. So when they start the turn, they're only going to have 4 cards to play with. So we would have to true off the Spirit to then summon down our Blue Eyes just to make sure that we don't get completely locked out. And then unfortunately, we won't be able to have anything more to kind of enter the field of play. That being said, our opponent now, with their 4 cards that they're going to have, need to play through an Effect Veiler, a Ghost Spell, and then a Nibiru. Now let's say we resolve the Nibiru, and that ends their turn. They can't do anything more. We will draw for turn, doesn't matter what we get. Blue Eyes White Dragon, perfect. During the standby phase, we get to add back our Primite Ether Barrel, and then we get to go again. Now, considering that in the previous test time we took away 2 cards from them, plus we've ended up making them eat a Nibiru and everything else, let's say worst case scenario, they interact with this card again. Now, it's not the end of the world, it just stops us getting the Drill Beam in loop, which can be massively, beneficial for us. That being said, what we can do is turn our Primite Ether Barrel into the Spirit now. Spirit would now resolve because I can't imagine they have any cards left. Grab our Mausoleum, activate the Mausoleum. Unfortunately, the Blue Eyes is currently stuck in our hand. Not that that's a big, big issue. But we have the ability to use our Spirit of Eyes of Blue, if we wanted to tribute itself off and bring back Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now again, unfortunately, we don't have another card to utilize for us right now. That's just kind of how it is. You have to be careful of that Nibiru token because if that Nibiru token is stronger than 3k, you're not going to be able to out it. But there is pretty much no other option we have, sadly. If it's strong enough to be destroyed, you'd flip the Nibiru token to attack and attack and attack. Otherwise, you're just going to have to be very, very defensive and very patient. If this was another starter, we'd be in a much better position. But you just need to be very, very defensive. So keeping in mind that this was using an interaction on Ether Barrel. Our Ether Barrel has just not resolved. Our opponent has a Nibiru token. They top deck for turn. If their card for a top deck for turn is an interactive card or something that can build their plays, like a 1-card combo, then we're in a bit of trouble. If not, they switch the Nibiru to attack mode. They kill one of these 2 cards. Probably going to kill the Nibiru. We then draw for turn. Something that unlocks our plays. That'll do. We then get to add back our Ether Barrel. let's say the one card they drew for turn was an interaction. We normal summon Beryl. Beryl gets negated again. God, stop negating my Beryl. Our additional normal summon can now be our Master with Eyes of Blue. Target a level 1 Light Tuner in our graveyard and add it back to the hand so we get the Effect Veiler back. We can then synchro these two together. We can now get into our Spirit Dragon. Now, the biggest weakness we have is that this is currently stuck in attack. So what we need to do is try and get rid of that Nibiru or being as defensive as we possibly can. Now, if I wanted to lock down some spells, I could obviously go for the Ancient Fairy Dragon. I also still have the ability of my Master in the graveyard to target an effect monster I control, send it to the graveyard, and if I do, special summon a Blue Eyes from the graveyard. In doing so, I'd be able to put this back into the deck, send the Ether Beryl, and then defend up with the Blue Eyes White Dragon. The idea is what we're trying to do is that we need to be able to get into a bit of aggression. And this is all on the assumption that our Nibiru is a lot stronger. So your other option you now have is just to get rid of that Nibiru token, is you'll have to link both of these together to go into the Erratic Seals. Not ideal, but the position that we find ourselves in. Anyway, this can go on and on and on and on, because our opponent will draw for turn. If it is a card that starts their plays, we activate the Effect Veiler. Again, our Ether Beryl hasn't used, so they've only got that top deck card. Then Nibiru tries to attack this. We use the Erratic Seals. The Erratic Seals returns the token. We then get the Magnamute. The Magnamute's effect then triggers. And then this is where it starts to snowball, because in the end phase, we grab the Beryl off of the back of our Magnamute. We draw for turn, doesn't matter what it is. During the standby phase, add back Ether Beryl. Normal summon Ether Beryl, and for the third, fourth time I believe now, Ether Beryl is actually going to resolve. So we get to set Lordy Load, activate the Lordy Load, grab us a Drill Beam, and then from this point on, more times than not, your opponent probably concedes. Because now that we're in this simplified game state, Drill Beam just answers whatever top deck they have, and you just kind of build on from there, and on and on and on and on. Now, unfortunately, we don't actually have, we've got no spirits left. So we're not actually able to push that much further, but you'd go attack here with our Primite Ether Beryl. I would probably then link these two together, go into an SP Little Knight. Obviously, SP Little Knight can't banish anything, would set the Drill Beam. We could use the Primite Lordy Load just to get some Blue Eyes back into rotation. And then you just build on from here. So like from this one, your opponent has that first effect, gets hit with the Drill Beam, comes back to us, switch to attack, you know, and you start getting aggressive. So that's just kind of it. That was a very, very in-depth kind of back and forth to show you what the deck can do. But what I wanted to kind of highlight is just because your opponent has opened up 2 to 3 interactions, it doesn't mean that your turn ends. Blue Eyes can be very, very resistant, especially when you're considering what else they could have. So now what we're going to do, because that one went a little bit longer than normal, I'm going to side for going second. So to side for going second, straight away Dragon's Mind comes out, so does the Majesty, and then try to think what other cards I put in that was effective. We put in Nibiru's. Black Goat Last can come out. I honestly don't think that Triple Tactics Thrust is worth it because I'm not playing any normal breakers apart from Harpy's Feather Duster, which I don't think I really need to rely on, to be honest. I'm probably going to take out Call by the Grave as well. And we'll also take out Secret Village. And did I only put in 1 Triple Tactics Thrust? Yeah, I think I did. There we go. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keeping in mind that if my opponent is more affected against Fualos, I'd put in the Fualoses. 1 more card. Probably could be the Harpy's Feather Duster, and we'll probably just try and sack it off the top. But you don't have to. I don't think there's anything more that I'd really want to take out. I could afford to take out a Lordy Load, actually. So if I took that out, I would then be able to put in... I could put in the 2 Fuas, to be honest. We should go like this. There we go. Take out the Lordy Load, swap those out, put those 6 in. So now I've gone with go second cards that are either going to diminish my opponent's field or help me break my opponent's field. So we're going to shuffle up now, and then we will be going second on this one. Hopefully you want to see some of your side cards, but they are never guaranteed, and hopefully you don't want to see too many of them. Okay, cut up, draw. So we want to see, I guarantee a Fua or a Perulia will be our 6th card. Bet it's a Fua. That's not, okay, cool. Okay, No breakers, no side guard, what can we do? Now our opponent's pretty much going to go on unanswered. We're going to activate the Magnum because this one's like a no-brainer to try and interrupt our opponent. If it's useful, if not, then you would have subbed this out. Like, use a little bit of common sense on that one, that if you're not playing against Light or Darks, you'll probably take this out. End phase, try to resolve the Magnum. Let's say that they stop us resolving the Magnum, absolutely fine. Which doesn't bother us because we would have got another Ether Barrel. Draw for turn. Wishes is absolutely fine. Always start off with the Ether Barrel. Ether Barrel's effect, again, let's say we eat up an interaction. Just try and find a dice. Let's say our opponent has 3 interactions on the field, okay? So we're going to eat up 1 interaction. We're then going to turn our Primite Ether Barrel into our Spirit. Spirit's effect is going to try and trigger. Let's say we get eaten with another interaction. So they've got 1 interaction left, okay? Now what we can do is we can activate the Wishes with Eyes of... yeah, Wishes with Eyes of Blue. Actually, it doesn't make that big of a difference, to be honest. I mean, Wishes would be fine. Wishes gets us what we need, but we actually want the Wishes to resolve. So I would actually activate Sage, target the Spirit, to try and turn it into Blue Eyes. Let's say they use their final interaction. They really don't want us to get access to Blue Eyes. Actually, no, there's no negative. So yeah, let's say that we turn this into Blue Eyes White Dragon, okay? So you get Blue Eyes White Dragon. I can go into attack mode. So now we start to threaten a bit of attack on the field now. I still you kind of want the Wishes to resolve, but even if it doesn't resolve, we still actually get a bit of resource. So we can activate Wishes. This card will be the Ether Barrel, because it's the least effective card in our hand. And let's say that that's their last interaction. Let's say they stop the Wishes, okay? So they get rid of the Wishes. But they've now used 3 interactions, okay? So they've actually done quite a bit already. Then what you do is you can activate your Roar with your Blue Eyes, which is the last one here. We're going to bring out a Blue Eyes White Dragon. We're then going to use Wishes to banish and equip to the Blue Eyes that is in defense mode. This is in the graveyard. This will then give us our Neo equipped. Tribute these off. Get into our Tyrant. The Magnum can now be switched to attack mode. Tyrant would then clear everything off, like all of the monsters gone. And then you'd go in for a 5/5 there. Now, unfortunately, there's no trap cards for our Tyrant to reset. It's just the way that the cookie crumbled. But then the most ineffective cards on the field right now are these two here. So we'll link both of these off. Go into Hieratic Seals. We are dragon locked, but that's absolutely fine. And then you kind of pass in with a Hieratic Seals, Hope and a Dream, which again is absolutely fine because keep in mind we've eaten 3 interactions for our opponent. We've cleared off all their monsters. Then we've got Hieratic Seals. So Hieratic Seals trade off, tribute off. I don't think there's many dragons left in the deck because we saw the Magnum in our opening hand. So I think what we'd be going for has to be an Ether Barrel, which just doesn't do anything. But at least with that, we were able to kind of deck thin a bit. So that's done that job for us. Doesn't matter what we really draw for turn, to be completely honest with you. So draw for turn, Effect Vader is absolutely fine. During the standby phase, add back Ether Barrel. Normal summon Ether Barrel, effect. Keep in mind as well that if our opponent tries to target this, we've got the target protection, which is fine. Ether Barrel, if it doesn't resolve, what do we open up our door to? Ironically, if it doesn't resolve, if it doesn't resolve, we can actually just hard synchro into a Lightstorm Dragon. Because you've got 4, 4, and 1. No, sorry, that was our normal summon. We've got no additional normal summon at the moment. We could have normal summoned this and go for a Spirit Dragon, but that's probably not worth it. Otherwise, you go into Spirit, I guess. So this gets interacted with. We go into Spirit. Spirit resolves this time. The lesser of the 2 evils. Gives us access to Mausoleum. Oh, here we go. This is where we unlock everything. Mausoleum. Activate Mausoleum. Then we can use... We've got both Blue Eyes in rotation. Yeah, both Blue Eyes are in rotation. So Spirit Dragon. Tribute off. Bring back Blue Eyes. Always got to remember how you special summon it. Yeah, cool. So just special summons, it can go into any position. Additional normal summon of Effect Veiler if you want it to. Synchro these two together. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. This was last turn, so we can switch this to attack mode now. Oh, actually, this one should have been the one that was linked off. Because I remember that was 0/0. So this should be here, this can then go here. And the reason we do that is because then our Tyrant Dragon attacks, clear everything off. Ether Barrel for 16, 25 for the Spirit, Tribute off the Spirit, go into Ancient Fairy Life Dragon. This attacks in defense position. That should be enough to finish the game off as long as your Tyrant Dragon has done some damage during this turn or the previous turn. And then failing that, top deck and a dream. And that's pretty much it. Now, I tried to show you the siding patterns. It was probably more important to show you what you would side in, what you side out. Like I said, siding patterns really come down to the individual themselves more than anything else. But just kind of gives you a bit of an idea. You should probably know by now that the chummies come out if you're going first and the chummies go in if you're going second. So that should be a very simplistic kind of approach. But yeah, hopefully this is giving you a bit of an idea on what the deck wants to try and do and kind of how it can do it and being resilient. I wanted to try and show you playing through opponent interactions, playing through opponent's turns as well, so that you can continue to build on. And you need to remember that your biggest kind of targets for interactions from your opponent is going to be your Spirit, your Sage of Eyes of Blue, your Ether Barrel. Like always, your normal summons are always going to be targeted. And yeah, I wouldn't really be so surprised by that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I am always happy to answer them where at all possible. But for now, as absolutely always, as I try and get the side cards out of my deck, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.